let's just say someone is super interested and bought into this whole what I think is fair to call a red pill journey that we've gone on in this, starting with Web3. And so maybe a red pill journey for Web3 people. What do you think they should do, right? So let's imagine someone coming from Web3, working on a DAO project, maybe a developer, maybe a product person. How do they get involved? What do you think they do? They're sold.
Well,
They
I
want to
mean,
help.
we're trying to be a nexus of a place. We're small now, with base camp and stuff like that. The truth is that this ideology is already pretty common. Joe Rogan is a great example of this, right? He's a major political actor in the country right now. The number one followed influencer in the country last year was Andrew Tate, right? Like these people are out there and they are growing and they have a lot of power, but I don't think they have a cohesive vision for how they're going to make all of this work. They recognize what's wrong with the system, but they don't have a cohesive vision of how to fix it. And Web3 can play a role in that. And I would say our podcast is a growing community, in the comments, in the subreddit that's dedicated to us, my wife and I. We'd love to grow out a community of people who are really strategic and action oriented in terms of saving our civilization, building out a Web3 that can work, building out a durable cultural model that can exist in the next iteration of humanity, and thinking about all of this without the wool over our eyes, because I think the biggest handicap that the people that we're competing against have is that they systemically cannot see some things that are obviously true. And because they can't see those things that are obviously true, they are inefficient, which allows us to outcompete them. Like when we're creating an educational alternative, like we're doing with the Collins Institute to the existing public school system, people are like, well, how could you compete with this like well-funded public institution? And it's like, well, it's just so blinded by its ideology that it is still having teachers, like minimum wage employees, who the type of people who will work for minimum wage, teaching our kids, like standing up in a room, lecturing to them when like an internet and like video exists and AI exists. Like what the how that isn't like one iteration of technology out of date. That is like literally 50 years behind the time, literally half a century out of date. That is easy to compete with. And then we create a system that just so outcompetes it in terms of the kids that we're helping that parents feel negligible not engaging with this. And this can be done economically. I mean, the people who can see through the clouds, you see the things that we talk about, they are not dissimilar from like anyone who's, I think, achieved a level of break from the system, like Elon Musk, right? Like they appear very similar to like what Elon Musk is doing and stuff like that. The problem is that he doesn't have time to organize people. He doesn't have time to be a figurehead or build a cohesive ideology. Yet, I mean, I think that we are beginning to see throughout society, our ideas are not unique. They just might be more cohesive in the way that we are structuring them. Pop all over the place, and they're finding each other. And I would tell people, remember, even if we seem small now, we don't need to win in this generation. We can win 2 generations, 3 generations from now, because we're having kids and we're technophilic. And so those kids will own the future economy, the future of technology. That's just the way fertility rates work. That's just the way power square laws work, right? So, but this does mean finding and building new technology right now, like school systems that won't deconvert our kids, like dating markets that actually work, because it's incredibly hard to find a partner in today's economy. And that's the type of thing that Web3 can help with. So all really cool stuff.
There's one thing I just really want to appreciate, and I would say we definitely want to talk to people on the left and the right. But your framing of why, who and why should get involved, I just deeply appreciated that it was oriented around action, doers, builders, and not just bodies, votes,
Yeah.
likes, right? And there's something there that just kind of speaks to me in a very, again, a fundamental way. It's like it's a call to exist rather than a call to be within a certain mode, right? Or a call to limit yourself. It's a call to embrace yourself almost.
Yeah.
And I can really appreciate that.
Well, this is what I see about like Elon Musk, who I see as sort of a paragon of the movement, right? Is when he sees problems in the world, he's like, oh, global warming is an issue. I guess I'll build a car company, right? That's an electric car company. Or we need to get off planet. Okay, I guess I'll build a space company. Oh, AI is growing. How could I protect us from AI? Well, maybe if we can integrate with electronics. Okay, I'll build a Neuralink company. Oh, he keeps trying to build systems to fix the problems he sees in the world. And that is so much more important than making these public calls to action, because the systems of the future are what really matter. And if you are in the Web3 community, you have access to technology that your opponents don't. And it's they don't have they don't not have access to it because like you haven't given them access. You have said, here, please take it. And then they slap away and say, how dare you disrupt the system as it exists right now? How dare you exist to disrupt our existing power hierarchy? Couldn't, and that obstinance gives you an advantage.
I know you got to run soon, and we've covered a lot of topics, and my neurons are about depleted at this point because you are masterful at engaging in these conversations.
Thank you.
So I guess just to wrap it up, any other message, any other thing that you want people to note at the end of this conversation? We'll add the follow you on social and everything like that to the
I mean,
notes.
obviously Basecamp has been our big project recently. We do an episode every day, 10 a.m., every weekday, 10 a.m. But it's also on all the podcasting apps if you want to get it there. It has grown a lot less in our other project. The core book, I'd say, if you want to understand, like you want like a Bible on our philosophy, The Pragmatist Guide to Crafting Religion is my favorite of the books we have written.
I will recommend the YouTube over the podcast format, because I will say you all are very colorful and engaging, and that adds a lot to it. So I think there's some. It's better absorbed in video.
We put a lot of work into the videos to get people, and I also think that we would love people to come and join us on the fun side of the island, because we're gonna win. We're gonna win. Like the writing's on the wall. Our opponents aren't breeding, and they won't get our kids. So. Come on over. This is the future of the human species. It's a small group now, but it'll be big in the future. And one of the things I would say, people are like, that can't be true. I grew up with this group of weirdos in Silicon Valley about 2 decades ago, and they called themselves the rationalists and the effective altruists and the less wrong movement. And nobody cared or knew who these people were. It was literally a group of maybe like 500, maybe 1,000 people. And now that group disproportionately runs our entire society. The smartest people, the most open to thinking freely people of every generation find each other. And they do a good job of that. So them coalescing is an inevitability, and do not discount movements just because they're small. When you're judging whether or not a movement will matter, notice how smart the average person interacting with that movement is, and that will tell you whether or not they'll matter in the future.